prospers when religion is vibrant and the rule of law under God is acknowledged.
An informed patriot is what we want.
Welcome to Focal Point, the home of muscular Christianity on Conservative Talk Radio. Muscular Christianity, where we relentlessly explore the intersection of truth and politics.
The trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so.
Now, here's your host, Brian Fisher.
Hi, welcome back to Focal Point, AFR Talk. Got a couple of quick things before we go back to the phones, 888-589-8840. Colin Kaepernick, quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, is a great story. And part of the reason he's a story is that he shouldn't even be alive to be playing in the NFC title game on Sunday at Candlestick Park. That's because he was conceived by a single mom in a biracial relationship who was under enormous pressure to abort him. And she chose to keep him and to give him up for adoption, which I think is the best thing for a single mom who becomes pregnant to do. If the father is not going to be in the picture, if the father is not going to marry the mother, then the best thing for the sake of the child, again, putting the interest and needs of the child first, is to place that child in a home where that child can be raised by a two-parent family, by a mom and a dad who are married to each other. And that's what Colin Kaepernick's birth mother decided to do. This was in 1987, and that year, 1987, 1.353 million children were aborted. 1,353,671 babies were aborted by American women. Only 72,000 that year gave their child up for adoption. So he had simply a 1 in 19 chance of even making it out of the womb alive, but he's living to tell about it. You'll see the tattoos on him Sunday if you watch the game. Those tattoos are Bible verses from Psalm 27, Psalm 39. They're warrior verses. They're verses about God enabling a man to be a warrior, surrounding that warrior with his protection. Great news, by the way, from the Alabama Supreme Court. They ruled, quote, unborn children are persons with rights. And this dealt with a couple of situations where pregnant women were charged with chemical endangerment because one of them ingested cocaine, the other one methamphetamine, and it damaged their unborn babies. One woman's baby tested positive for cocaine. The other baby, the meth addict, was born prematurely to the meth addict and died due to acute methamphetamine intoxication. So that mom, by taking meth while the baby was in the womb, literally gave her own child a death sentence. And the Supreme Court in Alabama said the decision of this court today is in keeping with the widespread legal recognition that unborn children are persons with rights that should be protected by law. That's the Alabama Supreme Court, ladies and gentlemen. That's not a pro-life organization. That's not the AFA. That is the Alabama Supreme Court. Unborn children are persons with rights that should be protected by law. Ladies and gentlemen, we are fighting a winnable war. Now, we got problems out there on the inauguration front. Still a lot of vacancies at D.C.'s fanciest hotels. Got all these fancy pants hotels. They're doing the dog, putting on the dog for the inauguration. Nobody's showing up. They got 20% of the rooms. They can't even give these things away. Meanwhile, for the March for Life, hotels in D.C. are booked to capacity. Chances very good that there will be a bigger turnout for the March for Life than for the president's inauguration. Now, the people coming to the president's inauguration, they're all these greenies. They want to save the earth. 300 to 600 private jets flying into Dulles for the green president's second inauguration. He's not only the first black president, he is the first green president. Got to lower your carbon footprint. Got to save the earth. 300 to 600 private jets flying into D.C. from all over the world for the inauguration. Now, the big problem with the inauguration could be the number of porta potties. That's a breaking story. That's right up there with the foot-long sandwiches at Subway. This is on Washington Examiner. There are going to be far fewer porta potties at President Obama's second inauguration than his first. While crowd estimates for Monday's event are less than half of the 1.8 million who flooded the mall in 2009, the bathroom count has been cut by about 2/3. This, according to John Banzoff, George Washington University professor, whose urgings in 2009 led to more porta potties for the president's first inauguration. And this is his nickname. How would you like to have this be? You're a professor at George Washington University. He is known as the father of potty parity. That's his nickname, the father of potty parity, for his previous potty patrol efforts. The presidential inaugural committee said there are going to be 1,500 porta potties on the mall. There were 5,000 in 2009, and some said there were 7,000 in 2009. According to an online calculator of one of the two major firms supplying the restrooms, United Site Services, an online calculator. Did you even know that existed? That's why you listen to this program. I'd be willing to bet there is nobody in this listening audience that knew before just 60 seconds ago that there are online calculators for the number of porta potties you need for an event. But there it is. That's why you listen to this program. So this online calculator says they really ought to have 3,400 to 4,300 porta potties for a crowd that size. So we will stay right on top of that story, just like we're watching that Subway sandwich story. Let's grab a couple of phone calls real quick. Let's go to David, Lake Charles, Louisiana. David, you're on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Brian. As someone who grew up in New Jersey for the first 23 years of my life, I wanted to comment on a couple of Governor Christie's comments recently. The first one, when he talked about, them being public figures, and when they see an ad like that, they cringe. If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. By definition, public office means, things are public. And even though I agree with him that children are off limits, in this situation, just like you said, the president himself opened the door for cross-examination by the NRA, if you will, when he made those prior statements about his children having armed protection. He himself brought them in limits,
Well, and there weren't any pictures of the president's kids in that ad.
Right.
It was just talking about, it wasn't even about the Secret Service. It was talking about the school he goes to, Sidwell Friends, $34,000 a year to go there, so only rich people can send their kids there. And that's where congressmen, they want your kid to go to public school. They're going to send their kid to a $34,000 a year private school. All right, David, listen, I appreciate that. And the problem with Chris Christie is not that Chris Christie's too fat to be the president. He's too liberal to be the next president. Let's go to Jerry, Little Rock, Arkansas. Jerry, got about 35 seconds. What's on your mind?
Well, I need to make a remark. Obama's trying to pull a fast one on us. We need to get our priorities straight. Put the gun control deal on the back burner and get the balanced budget in first. That's all I got to say.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate the call. That's a good call, Jerry. And this business of priorities, I think, is important. And, you got the president out there saying, hey, if it will save one life, we got to do it. Jay Carney, the president's spokesman, saying if it'll save one life, we got to do it. They're talking about gun control. Well, in that case, how about defunding Planned Parenthood? Talk about saving lives. They're butchering 334,000 babies a year. Now, we got 20 shot to death at Sandy Hook. That's terrible. That's horrible. Everybody hates that. Everybody's grieved by that. We have 170, I don't know what the figures are, but 1,700 times that being butchered by Planned Parenthood. So you want to do something that'll save a single life, how about defunding Planned Parenthood while you're at it? Focal Point, AFR Talk.